What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to another Warframe video. So we got Yareli Prime Access coming out tomorrow with the Daikyu Prime Bow and the Kompressa Prime Pistol. These should be some really strong weapons, but they're actually already strong right now with the non-Prime variants. So we'll be going over a Daikyu Prime and Kompressa build today that you can use for the Prime Access tomorrow. These weapons already are really strong, like I said, but they should be even stronger with the new Prime version. So with the build today, we're showing how to get debuffs to the max with the Kompressa. 2 billion damage one-shot build with the Daikyu, and maybe I'll throw in some other Kompressa DPS builds in there if we got time as well. So let's hop right in. Before we do, make sure to sub this channel. Do daily Warframe video uploads, build videos, news videos, all that kind of stuff. The right place for Warframe content. And yes, as of right now, these weapons aren't actually out, the Prime versions. So we've got the normal versions. But tomorrow I'll be covering the Kompressa Prime as well, most likely on this channel. So let's hop right into the builds and all that you can show. Will be showcased to show how you can get this power unleashed, basically. Now, as far as the loadout, we've got the Daikyu Bow, the Kompressa Pistol, and I've actually got the Falcor equipped as well for some AoE ad clear. And we're on Ivara Prime. Yareli Prime will be tomorrow. Now, as far as what's so good about these weapons, we've got the Daikyu, which is a bow that can hit really, really hard. Even harder if you proc them up. And we've also got the Kompressa, which has base viral damage and launches these bubbles. These bubbles are actually really good for proccing enemies up with like Condition Overload or whatever you might end up doing. Now, this is a no galvanized Daikyu build right now. So, and also I'm losing a huge chunk of damage right now. If I go invisible using Spectral Serration, I get a ton of extra damage. So, as you can see, now we're getting like, you know, multiple million more damage. Now, if we were to go full on our loadout, it's going to be 2 billion damage, but I'll show how all this stuff works here in a second. So yes, very good stuff. The Daikyu is a hard-hitting bow. As far as its base stats, it's got 34% crit chance, 3.2 multiplier, and 46% status chance. It has a lot of electric damage. We're going to show how that works here, because that's actually our Archon shards doing a lot of that work. And for the Kompressa, like I said, it has base viral damage, but it has actually 2 instances of damage. So you get the collision of the bubble and the detonation of the bubble are both viral, so you can get maxed out viral really, really easily on the Kompressa. Now, the reason I've got electric damage on my Daikyu does not normally have, it usually only has impact, puncture, slash. I've got these shards on my Ivara right now, which give increased electric primary damage for each purple shard equipped. So I've got 4 of them for a huge chunk of electric primary damage. And I've also got 1 green shard, which makes the corrosive stacks on an enemy possible to 13 procs, which is almost all their armor, which is really, really good if you want to get some big damage numbers. As far as on Ivara herself, I've got this stuff as follows. Now, in the footage, I was actually running a different augment. I was running the Empowered Quiver augment, but since I was never actually on the dash wire, I decided to take that off. Now, big stuff here is Worthy Camaraderie gives more crit chance on headshots. Arcane Rage gives more damage on headshots. Arcane Crepuscular gives you more damage, or gives you more crit damage while you're invisible. And Vigorous Swap gives you more damage after you swap weapons. So we're basically going to proc them up with our Kompressa and swap to our Daikyu Bow for a massive, massive damage hit. The rest of the stuff on here is just big power strength and a headshot multiplier for my Ivara's 3. Now, as far as the Daikyu build, this is my go-to Daikyu one-shot build. I've got Bane of the Orokin on here. Since we're fighting Grineer, you should put on Bane of the Grineer. But yeah, if you don't want to run these mods, you don't have to. But something you should definitely not run is multi-shot. So you got the primary acuity mod on the Daikyu. Multi-shot cannot be modified. That means that you can't have plus multi-shot or minus multi-shot. You can only just have normal multi-shot. But you also get 350% increased weak point damage and 350% increased weak point crit chance. So a massive buff if you get headshots, but you do basically no damage on body shots. As far as the rest of the stuff on here, the special Amalgam Daikyu Target Acquired mod is very, very good. It gives you increased headshot multiplier, which goes straight with primary acuity and Ivara's third ability, Prowl. It also gives you lifesteal on the Kanas, but we don't really need that. You could also technically pick up arrows on the ground, but this thing has like 72 arrows ammo pool anyway, so who cares about that? We got Longbow Sharp Shot. This is a very rare arcane from Deviri, but it's really, really strong on bows. This is how you can get 2 billion damage. On headshot, gain 300% increased damage on your next shot, and that is multiplicative damage. So that can be really, really nasty. And you might also notice there's no galvanized mods on here. This build can do those big numbers without having to get stacks, unless you really count Longbow Sharp Shot's headshot as a stack. You're still getting like multiple million without Longbow Sharp Shot proc in the first place. But yeah. Now, my Riven, unfortunately, has minus fire rate on it, and since it's a bow, it's actually double the minus fire rate, so it's got minus 80% fire rate, which is why I've got point strike instead of critical delay. If I didn't have such a terrible Riven, I would probably go with critical delay for a little bit more crit chance. I think it's like 16% more crit chance, like 178, but I'd lose fire rate, so I'm not going to do that. I got Vital Acceleration for some fire rate, and since I'm playing Ivara, Spectral Serration, it's a newer mod, you might not have this, it gives a huge chunk of damage if you're invisible. So between that and Arcane Crepuscular, we're hitting really, really hard. And comparing that to Spectral Serration, it's literally double the damage of normal Serration if you're invisible. So if you're not invisible, you got a build like this. I can show that real quick too, but it's not going to work with my Ivara build because of the electric shard. It's a gas build. Since this thing has such high status chance, you can proc gas pretty well for a really deadly gas cloud. We're talking like multiple million damage gas clouds. But as of right now, that's the build I'm going to show you is the primary one, and maybe I'll show the gas build at the end here. Now, for a Kompressa, like I said, Viral's built in, so we want to throw on procs that are useful to us after Viral. So we've got a Corrosive Cold build. Why Corrosive Cold? Well, if you haven't played in a while, you might not know this, but Cold procs actually give you more critical damage on enemies affected by them. And also, if you haven't played for a while, Cold procs can now freeze enemies fully solid, so it's really good in Disruption for getting an easy Demolist one-shot. And yeah, so Corrosive, Viral, that's good for us. Corrosive removes enemy armor, Viral makes enemies debuff to all damage, and Cold makes them take more crit. You could throw on like a Heat proc instead of a Cold proc, because this will give a DOT and even more armor strip, but they pretty much already have no armor in the first place with this build, so yeah. As far as the rest of the stuff on here, I've got an unranked Synth Charge. The rank of Synth Charge does not matter for this build. All you really want it for is the auto reload. Holstering primary and secondary weapons reloads 10% of the magazine per second. That means you don't have to actually manually reload this thing ever. That's why I like it. Also, Amalgam Barrel Diffusion makes you dodge faster. Pretty good if you're playing a frame like Ivara, as we don't really need big multi-shot on this thing, because it already has a ton of multi-shot in the first place. Prime Fulmination for more AoE size. This is definitely a flex slot. You can put on whatever you feel like here. Maybe you want to put on like longer stash duration. That's totally viable. That would be Augur Seeker. I just like having the AoE size of the bubbles like a little bit more convenient for me. But yeah, either way, you can go for that if you'd like to. Now, this is a procer build for getting some useful procs. You could actually throw on, if you weren't playing Ivara, you could throw on Encumber. This gives you a ton of extra procs. But the thing is, since I'm not running Condition Overload, I don't need more than the 3 procs I have. Getting other procs won't really do much for me. If anything, it could be a bad thing, because if enemy gets affected by a radiation proc, I'm going to get caught in the crossfire. I'm playing Ivara with no shield gate, basically. That would be bad for me. So I'm sticking with Dexterity, so I get some easy stacks from my Falcor. And yes, this is going to be like a procer build you can use, but you can also use a crit DPS build like this. To get some red crits in the Kompressa. So let's go ahead and show you how that works. The secondary Unnerve Arcane gives you additive crit chance whenever you get a hit on an enemy, and then you'll keep it until you get some like orange or red crits. But since we get so many instances of damage with the Kompressa, we can actually like bypass the restrictions of the Unnerve Arcane. So see right there, red crits on the Kompressa. Not too shabby. A lot of them are yellow crits, but yeah, there's also lots of red crits too. Now, this used to work double hits on blast procs, I believe it was, but I think they patched that out. So, as of right now, I'm going for a corrosive viral heat build, I think it is right now, and that's pretty nice. This thing can kill level 10,000s pretty easily. This is not non-procer build. The procer build can kill level 10,000s too, but it might be a little bit less consistent. So now that we've got all that situated, let's go ahead and give the Daikyu a shot on these guys with the non-procer build, just to see how that goes. One bullet there. But they're going to die to the bubble gun, it looks like. So yeah, maybe don't run the DPS build if you're trying to proc enemies up with it, because the bubbles can do a lot of damage, actually. Okay, I think we have to actually switch back to the build to see these procs, because these guys just die way too easily. This is the highest level, hey, in my defense, this is the highest level I can spawn in the Simulacrum right now. And they're dying to the, a singular bubble, so that does not seem very good for the Grenier Empire. Alright, let's give this another shot. Let's get some 2 bills in here. Okay, so I've got I think I equipped Bandagers. So we're gonna go back to Exo Gokstads, actually. Sorry about that. Okay, back to Exo Gokstads. Let's see if we can get the 2 bill here, even though I took off the Dash Wire Augment. So we go invisible. Arcane Crepuscular gives us more of a buff. We can cast Roar while invisible. We can actually cast our Dash Wire if I left the Augment on. Looks like I didn't leave the Augment on, so proc them up. They got all the stuff we need. Daikyu shot, 524 million. Daikyu shot, 2.1 billion. So yes, 2.1 billion with no Dash Wire Augment. That will kill literally anything in the game, like no questions asked. That'll kill a level 10,000 Demolist, that'll kill a level 10,000 Vrax. One thing that won't really kill is a damage attenuated like enemy, which is, you know, that's just kind of like the anti-fun mechanics we have sometimes in this game. So, yeah, really, really good. Now, if you don't have the Riven, you do lose about 500 million damage or more. Like, it's more like 800 million damage. So keep that in mind, that getting a Daikyu Riven might be a good idea on your part. But yeah, as you saw right there, they got Frozen Solid, they got Ivara Proc, and they got Corrosive Proc. They were just pretty much done from one singular bullet. And you saw the DPS. Well, let's go ahead and show the AoE Daikyu build here. But again, I can't show that to you on Ivara. So we're going to go ahead and switch over to Korra. And I'm going to show you how good the Gas Daikyu can be. So as far as on Korra, we got Ensnare to pull enemies together. We got minimal buffing beyond that. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw on a gas damage build. And this will make it where gas procs will be caused by this high status chance weapon. 100% status chance, so it's very likely to proc gas. And we're actually going to pull enemies together, too. Enemies that are close together will be affected by the gas proc and get even more destroyed. So, very good stuff on that front. Let's just hope that we get lucky with that gas proc RNG. There we go, we got the gas proc RNG. So with no longbow sharp shot, 182k through their armor, which is about 90% DR. 14 million damage gas proc there with no Ivara buffs, no nothing like that. So let's go ahead and try this again. See if we get that million damage gas proc we desire. Can't even see that number. Look at 800k. Not bad for like minimal buffing. So yes, something like this could work great. You could use Nautilus, you could use Ensnare, you could maybe even try something like Larva. It's just the high status chance and high damage of the Daikyu enables extremely powerful AoE procs like this, so specifically from gas damage. So last one more time, just to show it's not only a single target weapon. And there's your million damage gas proc with no buffing. So yeah, very, very good on that front. And as far as the Daikyu getting buffed tomorrow, guys, we do have a quick preview of it. It seems like the Daikyu is going to have more damage and projectile flight speed range. So that's not going to be a big deal. So I'd say maybe the Daikyu normal will be better in the long run because of those high Riven stats. We look at it right now. We've got nearly max stat Rivens on this thing. So when the Daikyu Prime comes out tomorrow, it should be like a third of the stats on the Rivens, unfortunately. Now that would be good for my crappy negative, but it wouldn't be good for my good plus stats. So yeah, that's basically it for the video, guys. I can quickly show the Falcor build real quick, even though it was hardly... This is not the focus of the video at all, but this is what I got. Blast Melee Influence. Blast Electric Melee Influence. But yeah, good stuff. Hopefully you enjoyed the Prime Access tomorrow. Really hard-hitting bow. Very fun to use bow. Ivara's bow is actually getting a change in the future, too, but that should not be in the update tomorrow. But, yeah, as of right now, this is Ivara's bow for me. 2.1 billion damage, easy. See you guys in the next video on Pre-Show Sport. Peace.